Thank you so much. Hey everyone, again, let me just see how this works. Give me a second so I can share my screen. Okay, can you guys see it?
Yes, we can see it, thank you.
Okay, and it's just like the main one, right? You only see the presentation itself.
No, not now. Now I can also see a window. Yeah.
Okay, then forget it. Yeah, technical problems. But okay, so hey everyone again. My name is Raquel Lima. I am here to present Making Learning Meaningful through a student perspective. It's a pleasure to see you all and hopefully to hear from you in some minutes. So let's begin. And I would like to open with a question that I'm sure everyone has faced at school at least once. The famous, why am I studying this? And this can be different for everyone. I personally think about this a lot during biology, for example. Why do I need to care about chemical properties of an element? Why am I studying the cosine rule? Anything like that. And again, this is different for everyone. Some of you might think about this question when you're doing math or history, but there is this huge, from the student perspective, this idea of what is the purpose of the things that I'm learning? Why do these things matter? Why are they meaningful? And this brings us to what exactly do I mean by meaningful? One of the key terms of this presentation. And by meaningful, I mean having a meaning or purpose or an assigned function. And as an example, swimming, which is a little bit different from what we are going to discuss, but just for some perspective. Swimming may be meaningful to some people, not everyone, but it really depends on your values and what exactly you want or where you want to get. So swimming can be meaningful to someone because they like swimming a lot, they like going to the beach, they like going to a pool, or even for survival, while some people might never learn how to swim just because they don't see a lot of purpose on it. And that is also okay. So again, it really depends on someone's values and what exactly they want to learn and why. And that is the problem, or at least the challenge with learning at school. That is making learning meaningful to everyone, because by definition, it needs to have a purpose to every single student. And it is easy to lose meaning when everyone is learning the same thing at the same pace, at the same time, in the same way. And that is true even for different continents, even for different countries and different contexts. So for example, just to illustrate, these 4 classrooms here, they are from different continents. So the first one is from Brazil in the upper left, then India, South Africa, and Latvia. And notice how similar they are. So you have a teacher, you have a slide presentation, and you have the students lined up looking at it. And those students are completely different people with completely different goals. And it is hard to make learning meaningful if you don't have any choice on what you are learning and you cannot relate that to what you want to do in the future. So that is one of the main struggles here. And that was a question that I was faced with since the beginning of middle school, especially in Brazil, because we have no choice over our subjects. Every single student in the country learns the exact same curriculum at the exact same pace. And that, of course, was something that impacted me a lot and did annoy me a lot while I was in school. So I always looked for ways to reach out, and I had the opportunity to do so through extracurricular activities in my previous school. And I realized that when I engaged in activities outside school, I had the opportunity to actually apply what I had learned in the classroom, what looked like it had no meaning, and it actually could have a purpose depending on what I was doing. So for example, what I learned in history or geography, I could apply in Model United Nations. What I learned in literature, I could apply in theater, and so on. And even the subjects that I did not like a lot, for example, math or biology, even though I could not see a purpose and I did not engage in extracurricular activities about those subjects, just by being able to engage in these ones that were the ones that I really liked, that I care about, that gave me some energy to keep on studying, even the things that I could not exactly comprehend or apply in my life. And that was something that I also heard from different students. You might see that some of them repeat themselves in these pictures. And when I talked to them, it was the similar perspective that, yeah, actually, when I do extracurricular activities, I actually feel a little bit more engaged. I feel like I can do more. I feel that I am learning better. I ended up also conducting a research here in Latvia when I got here, this idea that school sometimes feel like it has no meaning. And I also got a similar response from students here that truly, when they engage in extracurricular activities, they feel more engaged. So my next step was to look for extracurricular activities, actually for theories that could, in a sense, back up what I was observing in my environment and some sort of concept that could explain what I was seeing. And the first thing that I came across was the 4 types of learning as defined by Murilo Gun. That is a teacher, a creativity teacher in Brazil. And what he said is, what he came up with was this little diagram that highlights 4 types of learning depending on the intersections of practice and theory-based and passive and proactive approaches to learning. So for example, here in the upper left, the lower left quadrant, we have instruction and lecturing, and this would be where school is. So it is passive because we just sit there and we just listen to the teacher most of the time. And it is theory-based because we do not get to learn about the applications or how that could relate in real-life examples. We also have these 2, learning by examples and independent study, and in the opposite side of instruction and lecturing, experiences. So experiences are both proactive and practice-based because we reach out to look for experiences that interest us, and at the same time, we are applying whatever we have learned that is theory-based through practice and doing something ourselves, which was what I was doing in my extracurricular activities and what colleagues like me and students like me were also doing. So this approach of the 4 types of learning did give me some perspective that, okay, maybe experiences, they hold better when it comes to education because they are both proactive and they are both practice-based, while instruction and lecturing is passive. So there is something here that highlights that experiences, they can be more effective when it comes to learning. But I was still looking for meaning. So again, the purpose that we were discussing in the beginning, how can we find that when we are engaging whatever with experiences or with independent study, whatever the type of learning? And I found out something that really, really helped me through one of the activities that I participated in. That was the Latin American Leadership Academy. And it is called the Exupery method. It was created by a young activist in Brazil that I had the pleasure to meet some years ago. And after her own experience with the education system in Brazil, that again was very strict, she came up with this method of 5 pillars that, according to her, makes it possible for you to understand where you want to get, what you want to learn, how to apply that, how to make that meaningful not only in your life, but also in the lives of others. So this was something that really helped me, and I do hope that this might have some value to you, to everyone watching this, because it is a nice method and it did help me to pursue my activities and actually make learning meaningful. And this is the whole point of Exupery, the method, and also the work that we are doing here and that Nicole was doing as well. So I am just going to walk through an example and show you how exactly this method works. And so the first pillar is self-knowledge, the first cornerstone. That is about understanding your history, your essence, values, and where exactly you are and where you would like to get. So here, what I did was just a quick brainstorming of what are my values, what are the things that I am interested in, and maybe what is something that I want to work with in the future. And by this, I used the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations. As Mr. Edgars highlighted earlier, in Exupery, we have this goal of working with the Sustainable Development Goals, which are set out by the United Nations. So that was one of the things that I had in mind. And also the things that I was actually interested in, no matter the goal, no matter the values. So reading, I know that I like speaking. I know that I like international relations, which is also a subject that I pursue through global politics, and languages. So after outlining this, it came to the point of, okay, so what exactly do I want to learn? And the next pillar is defining topics of your interest and what sources you can actually use to learn what you want. So here it was hard because I want to learn many things, but some of the things that I came up with was how maybe I want to learn how to lead, so maybe I can create a project or I can organize something by myself, how to convey my ideas, how to communicate clearly, and also different perspectives on education, because that is something that I'm passionate about, something that I'm interested in. And since I want to do so many things, I also want to learn how to learn effectively, because time is something that we need to prioritize, and it's not something that we can get back. So how can I learn what I want to learn as effectively as I can? And then it came to the matter of sources, and here it is, in a way, let me go back to the 4 types of learning. So it is proactive, but it is
dear Raquel, sorry for interrupting you. You have 3 minutes, just so you know.
Oh, okay. So it is proactive and theory-based because, again, I am looking for this knowledge myself, even though I'm not applying it yet. So TED Talks, books, and articles. Then it comes to experience, which is in that upper quadrant that we were discussing. So it is practice-based and proactive. And here comes all the activities that I have done so far. Latin American Leadership Academy, where I also learned about this method, the Global Changemakers, Future Heroes Latvia, which are also some entrepreneurship programs that I had the opportunity to participate on and meet different people around the world, and also public speaking activities like this one. I also added the point of how can I do this at school, because we spend a lot of time at school, so how can I apply these things here? So by researching the topics of my interest, using networking through my teachers, sharing experiences with other students, applying different learning methods, and so on. So always trying to connect what I have learned outside and what I learned inside school. Also connection. So sharing with others your ideas and interests is something really important when you are learning something. So you get to learn about new perspectives and connect with people similar to you. And this is something that you get to do a lot in the part of experience. And finally, externalization. So putting your learnings into practice, your life project, not necessarily something that you want to do for the rest of your life, but this stems from the idea that knowledge should always be in motion. And whatever you learn, it is interesting that you externalize it. So, you take it outside of you and you give other people the opportunity to learn from it as well. So here for me, it was about giving direction to my experiences and make them point to education, which was the area that I wanted to work with, at least for now, to change the way that people perceive it and also help other people if I can, while I am nurturing my own purpose. So for example, participating in the student conference is part of my externalization, part of the method, and also experience. So that is how the Exupery method works. That was something that helped me a lot throughout my research and even afterwards, that I hope you guys can get something out of it. And as a final remark, just a reminder that learning is plural, and making learning meaningful really depends on how you engage with it. So there are many ways that you can do this inside and outside school. And do not let only passive, theory-based approaches to learn bring you down, because there is a lot of things that you can do by yourself and with others that can make basically any sort of learning meaningful to you. I also added here some recommendations if you're interested in this topic. Some TED Talks that talk about this a little in different perspectives as well. We're excited because, research. And that is it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Raquel, for very interesting presentation. Thank you. I encourage everyone to use the Club emoji. Teacher Raquel, So now we're having a 5 minutes for discussion. Once again, I remind you that you're welcome to ask your questions or to type them in the chat. It's up to you. And Dr. Jo Yuli, please, would you like to share your feedback about the Raquel's presentation?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yep. I would like to thank you, thank you very much for your amazing presentations. And I think the whole presentation is very well. And I would like to ask some questions. And the first one is what motivates you to do this research? And another question is, which of your findings are the most interesting to you and why?
Okay, thank you for asking. So what motivates me to do this is just this idea that, we have a limited time on this earth and we should be spending it working in things that we care about and things that are interesting to us. And we spend so much time at school that we should find ways to make that time meaningful to us, especially in such a young age that we are learning so much. And that is things that are going to stick with us for the rest of our lives. And just this idea of being able to share with other people, to connect, is something that really keeps me going. So it was one of the reasons that made me take the time to stop and think, okay, but how can I make this more meaningful? How can I include everything that I love in the things that I do? And to me, one of the most interesting findings was definitely the Exupery method, simply because it seemed to sum up everything that I was interested in and all the things that I wanted to do in one page, a little piece of knowledge. But all of the activities that I have participated in so far that have contributed to this research were amazing in their own way. I got to meet people from so many different places, and that is definitely something that helps me grow.
Yeah, and yes. So the second question is, which of your findings are the most interesting to you? Yeah, because you're introduced like a model, and have you found anything from that?
So that model was definitely one of the most interesting findings that I had.
Yeah.
It was not created by me, but it was created by someone that has a very similar background to me that I got to meet in one of the experiences that I talked about. Mm-hmm. And it is something that I use to this day. So as I said, participating here is part of one of the pillars of the method.
Yeah.
And I try to apply it in my own ways, but it was definitely one of the main pieces that was interesting to me to find.
Yeah.
All right. I think we also have a question from Fleur Serrier. Yeah.
Hello, Raquel, and thank you for your presentation. It was very well put together and interesting. And I'm struck that the model that you're talking about is very much related, in fact, to constructivism, which is the teaching theory that DIB is based on. And so I do wonder, not that I'm trying to push DIB or anything, but I do wonder if, having come from that model, that's obviously had a strong impact on you, and I'm really amazed at what she came up with this model. And coming from that model, plus now being part of DIB, do you think that that's allowed you to take it to the next step, for example, with what you're taking part in right now?
Definitely, I did not know that the DIB was based on something similar to this, but it does make a lot of sense.
Sorry for that. Yeah. I just want to warn you that if you could you please give a very short answer, because we have to move to the next one in just 1 minute, basically. Okay. Yeah, sorry for that.
The difference between DIB and what I did before is very striking, and this system allows me to externalize and do everything that I mentioned much more than I used to in Brazil. So the fact that DIB has something similar to this method definitely helps. So yeah.